When you affirm them and you're telling them this is the person that you really are, when you get to that point of decision, now there's a conversion experience one way or the other. They want to live up to your expectation of being an action taker. They like what you've seen in them and what you've affirmed about them. So I think that's a really nice thing to do, even if apart from sales. I think it's just nice to call out the best in people.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Kingdom Builders Academy podcast. We are so excited to dive into a critical topic today, something that if you're interested in reaching more people, helping more people, getting compensated well, and signing up more clients, making more sales, this is the podcast for you. We're going to dive into all things sales skills, sales process, big ideas. I got something that will 5x your sales, okay? I'm going to save it for the end, but how to 5x your sales, get 5 times more sales. There's one thing that you can do that you're probably not doing. So we got a lot to dive into, Coach Tam. I'll pass it off to you to get us started.
Yeah, okay. Hey, we have a live audience here today, and I want to ask our live audience to respond in the chat, and I want you to give me a 1, 2, or a 3. 1 is, I love sales. I think it's awesome. I enjoy it. It's fun. That's a 1. 2 is, I could, kind of take it or leave it. I don't hate it. 3 is, oh, so scary. I don't like selling. I don't like talking about sales. Let's see what you guys have to say. Zachary, what do you think the consensus is here?
I don't know that there's consensus. I mean, I see 1, 4 at worst than a 3. No, it's a really a good mix. I don't know that there's a leader. There's some people who love it, hate it, and in between. It's a real mix.
Okay, let me ask those of you who said that you're a 3, that you really just don't like it. Can you tell me in the chat, what do you not like? What is the part that you don't like? What makes you not like selling? Can you articulate that for me? And those of you who are a 1, can you tell me what it is that you love about sales and about selling? So I'm starting to see some of our 3s, the no's, rejection. If they say no, Christine doesn't like asking for money, sounding pushy, rejection. Let's see. I guess I lack the skills to do it, so it scares me. All right. So now I'm asking you 1s, what do you guys like about selling? I see blessing people. I see I love teaching and I hate marketing, says Tammy. Pushing people to purchase when they don't initiate the purchase. I have no issue if they sort of inquire or ask about it. Yeah, so we're kind of a little bit around. And the reason I asked this question, because I was thinking about it last night. I was thinking about, because I tend to hear from people more who say that they feel icky about selling, that they feel like that they're, they don't like pushiness. They don't like forcing something on somebody. They don't like feeling like they're promoting themselves, like that they're self-promoting. And I thought, well, why do I like selling? Because I would even go beyond like. I definitely love. I have a love of selling. And it doesn't matter really, as long as it's a good product. I don't care what the product is. I don't care what the price point is. I kind of almost even like it if it's a higher price point. To me, it represents maybe a little bit of a challenge. But I was thinking, why do I like selling and some people don't like selling? And I guess the number one answer for me, the thing that kind of came to the forefront of my mind is that I like helping people and I also enjoy making money. I do. It's fun to me. I think, there's something about sales that is very sort of linear, like the numbers don't lie, they say, right? Sometimes maybe they fib a little bit, I guess, depending on how you mince them up, but it's good feedback. Like you can tell, you can monitor your metrics. You can tell how well you're doing or how well a message is landing with an audience by sales. You might not otherwise know. People will clap at the end of your speech to be polite either way. So you don't know really unless you make an offer and you see how well people respond to the offer. And then I think I really like the optimization process as well, that maybe you make an offer and you don't get so much of a great response. Do a few things differently and the response improves. Do it differently again a little bit, test some elements of your messaging and see how people respond. But I think that if I could transfer that mindset to you, that selling is serving, you're offering people something that they really need, that they're going to get a benefit out of, that is going to be transformative in their lives. And I don't know, do you guys not like making money? I enjoy making money. I think it's fun, and selling is a great vehicle to produce income. And I often say this is that if you look at the etymology of the word sell, it comes from a Norwegian word and it means to serve. And so what you're doing is you're offering people solutions that are going to be a blessing to them. And you're not going to price gouge them. You're going to offer them a great deal at a great price, a great service, and it's going to be good for them. So I would say if you don't like selling, if you feel icky about selling, maybe try on a new mindset about it. Try on a new mindset like, hey, this is great because I'm helping people, I'm serving people, and it's fun to make money. It is. It is for me. What do you think, Zack?
Yeah, I agree. I think we're both more inclined to enjoy sales. I think one of the reasons is that, maybe we've got a little bit more of like a gamesmanship, competitive gene because it's kind of a game, right? Like it's kind of something that like making money in business is kind of like a scorecard, right? Like that's how I've heard it talked about is that like it's kind of a scorecard. It's kind of the scoreboard, the report card on how you're doing in business. And it's fun to win, right? Like when you play a game, it's fun to win the game. So to get good at sales is really like one of those superpowers, right? Like if you're a football player, if you're an athlete, it's like speed, right? Like you train to get speed. That's going to make you a better player. In the sport of business, sales is one of those things. Like sales is like speed. Like, can you be a better business person? We'll get better at sales and you're going to be a better business person. So I think it's definitely a superpower skill that you want to have. It's definitely something that you need to win. And I think winning is fun. So, just to echo that whole mindset shift that it's like, hey, this should be fun. This is part of the game. And it's just a skill to be acquired. One thing that I want to speak to that I saw in the chat, Coach Tam, that seemed to be like the number one fear, like the number one problem people have who don't like sales is that fear of rejection. I just want to share this like anecdote that I think is just so funny and great is that I don't remember what sales program or sales trainer it was, but one of these like, sales gurus that teaches sales and helps people become like really high achieving salespeople. The first thing that he had his students do was this was the homework assignment for the next month, for the next 30 days. Every morning, I want you to go to order a cup of coffee, right? And go to a different coffee shop each time. Every day, every morning, I want you to go to the coffee shop, order a cup of coffee. And when they tell you the price, I want you to ask for it 50% off. Okay, it's $3. Okay, can you do 50% off? Can you give me half price? And it's just one, the lesson is that just asking, you're going to actually get it sometimes. Or be like, I guess I can give you like an employee discount. Like, I guess, sure. Like one, just asking, you're sometimes actually going to get that. But two, really the thing that he's trying to do is just like, hey, it's okay to get told no. Right. And Coach Tam, I've heard you say this, that like if you've got a problem with rejection, if rejection kind of stings a little bit and rejection's a little scary, the reality is you haven't been rejected enough. Right. Because you kind of got to like get a little numb to it, like a little like actually like that's not a big deal. Actually, it doesn't hurt anymore after a while. It doesn't scare me. It's that nobody's actually dying. Nobody's actually losing anything. It's just, a word. It's just like part of a conversation that like, oh, okay, that's okay. Let me give you my $3 now. You said no problem. I'll still buy the coffee. So I think it's one of those things that like, it's actually just something that we've got to do more of. Like if you've got a fear of rejection, the cure to that fear of rejection is actually like rejection. It's getting rejected a handful or a couple dozen times. And then it's like, that's not a big deal. Right? Like, would I have rather gotten the sale? Yes. But if I don't, it's like, it didn't hurt me. anymore. And like, maybe it hurt you at the beginning, but after a number of times, it doesn't hurt you anymore. So like to get over that, you actually have to kind of push through that and just go out and get rejected more. So I think that's a really key thing to kind of follow up on some of that conversation. But here's something that I think should be encouraging to everybody, but especially those who are like, the second thing I saw was like, hey, I'm not sure that I have the skill set. Number one fear I saw was like rejection. Number two is like lack of confidence in your skill set, lack of confidence in like, I don't know what to do. So like, I don't have competence. So I don't have confidence. Here's the number one skill for a salesperson, I think in any sales role, is conviction, is belief in what you're selling. Like that is like, if there's one thing that's more important than anything else that will like make up for a multitude of weaknesses, that will overcome a multitude of sins, it is conviction. It's really belief in what you're selling, what you're providing. Because when you have that belief, your belief sells the other person. Like, wow, this person believes in this so much, it really must be good, right? And really even believe that this is good for you. One of actually our sales trainers that we've worked with has a saying that's something along the lines of, our job, our responsibility is to do the right thing for the customer. And that usually requires pushing them outside their comfort zone. So when we have the belief that, hey, this is really in their best interest, right? Like this program is going to bless their marriage. This program is going to bless their health. This program is going to bless their business. This program is going to get them unstuck with the thing that they've been struggling with for years, right? When you've got that belief and you can just exude and communicate and share that conviction that you have, that will get sales, right? Like literally, if you've got no other sales skill, if you've got no sales process, which we'll talk about today, but that conviction alone will close deals, right? And I'd say that even when you add it to a good process and when you add it to good SOPs and when you add it to good skills to round out your ability in this area, conviction is still going to be the most important thing. Like that's the thing that really connects with people, that really convinces people, that really opens up people's hearts to like, wow, this person really cares and they really believe in this thing. So let me at least give it more thought, right? Rather than I'm in a sales conversation. This person's just trying to convince me of something. This person really believes in something and this person really wants the best for me. So I'm at least gonna hear them out with a more open heart and mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I often think too that people don't say yes or no to you. They say yes or no to themselves. It's not really that they're rejecting you. They're just making a poor decision for themselves. And I will say this, that one of the things I think that has really helped me is being an evangelist. When you're an evangelist and you're sharing Christ, your job is really just to be a witness. You're talking about the things that you've experienced, the things of the Lord that you've experienced. And yes, you're trying to persuade them to make a good decision for themselves by accepting Christ. But if you will just evangelize, you're going to naturally get better at sales anyway, because you're going to be relational. Like I listen to my husband. I learn a lot from my husband. He's in sales, but you would hardly even ever know it, because all he does is talk to people and relate to them. And he'll have a 15 to a 30-minute conversation. I overhear him, and he's talking about sports, and he's talking about the weather and their family and what we're doing. And then in the last like 30 seconds, he'll go, oh, so do you want me to send you over some quotes on that, this or that, And they'll be like, oh, yeah, sure. And I've got some other orders I want to place with you. Like 99% of the call was just being relational and being interested and curious in the person and being friendly, right? So I think like if you sort of change your mindset a little bit and go, okay, let me just think of this as serving. This is fun. I'm offering them a great solution, and I'm being relational and I'm being curious about them. The sales part, in a way, sort of takes care of itself. And it's really like that in evangelizing too. Like you're sharing your story, you're sharing your experience, but there's also, like Zack said, a process, and part of the process is being able to confidently answer objections. And part of the process is scarcity, like I don't have enough for everybody on the planet. We've only got so much, or there's so much time, or this, sale is expiring soon. So that's part of the process. Part of the process is getting to the close, is being able to say, okay, so shall I go ahead and, get you started here? Let me get you into the system. Let me ask you a couple of questions that are sort of non-threatening before I say, will that be Visa, MasterCard, or American Express? And then there's even like the button up, right? They've already given you the sale. You've already got their credit card number, but you're also going to just button it up and reaffirm that they've made a great decision. And, oh, here's something I'm going to send you. You want to check this out, little gift or something like that. So, but becoming more skilled in sales is always going to be a good decision. That is one of those things that if you will lean into it, it's always going to be a good decision.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Great stuff, and great example on evangelism. I mean, that's so true. So I want to give the second key in my view on sales. So number one was conviction. I think that's the most important thing. The second most important thing is having a process. Like, what is the process that you use to close the person? I remember my first sales job during college was selling Cutco knives. And some of you guys maybe have Cutco knives or sold Cutco knives yourself, but they had an amazing sales process, right? It was something that like literally anybody with no skill, no ability could, read the manual, cut the leather, cut the penny in half, demonstrate cutting a tomato. Like the sales process was just so good that like, oh my gosh. And like going over how they're made in America and they have a forever guarantee, and you compare it to these, German knives and these Japanese knives. And it's like, wow, these Cutco knives, like by the end of the process, it's like, we're so sold on the Cutco.
USA.
Yeah. And I still love Cutco knives, right? And it was easy for me to believe in it. Like, wow, this really is a great product. So it was easy to have conviction in it because I could see it myself. But the process was just so good that like literally like we had like a little sales workbook, right? Like we just read through the process. Eventually we memorize it and we can do the demonstration. We can do a demo. The process was so good. So number one, you got to have conviction. Number two, you got to have a process and a proven process. And I'll share, the outline of our proven process. We don't have time to dive into like the entire word for word script that we have, but I'll give you the big picture overview on what like, hey, this is what a phone sales, like high ticket sales process looks like. And I'd say there's 6 parts to it. And I'd highlight kind of the 3 in the middle, but the 6 parts. First one is what Coach Tam talked about, is rapport, right? What her husband Matt does all day long is just rapport, right? And then it's like easy to close the sale at the end. But rapport is number 1. Then here's the big 3. That's I think is the crux, the core of the sales process, is vision, reality, roadblocks. And that's probably where we're going to spend our most time. After we get rapport, and we kind of share the agenda of what we're going to do today. Then we get into vision, reality, roadblocks. We spend at least like 5-10 minutes on each of these. So vision is where they want to go. Why did they reach out? Why did they book the call? What are your goals? What do you want life to look like 2 years from now? And, make that whole list, paint that picture of Paris, vision cast on all the things they want to do. If they're in business, how much they want to be making, how many employees they want to have, how many customers they want to have, like what their time looks like, how much vacation time they want to have, right? So we get this vision, we're taking notes. Then, okay, I feel like I've got a pretty good picture on your vision. Let's switch gears and talk about how things are right now. Is that okay? So tell me about the reality. You said you wanted to be making X. How much are you making right now? Okay. You said you wanted to have this much vacation time. How much vacation time are you getting now? You want this many employees and customers. How many do you have now? And we just get clear on the reality. And what that naturally does is identify this giant gap that they are not where they want to be, right? And our job as coaches, as business owners, as influencers is to help people bridge that gap, right? Like that's what we do. So first we've got to identify that gap by going into the vision, going into the reality, and then we go into the roadblocks, which the purpose of this is really helping them recognize that they're stuck and they kind of don't know what to do. They've been stuck for a long time. They've been spinning their wheels, and they kind of have 2 choices between staying stuck and doing something different. So we talk about the roadblocks, what they've tried, what they've done, what's not working. Got it. Okay. The next step, number 5, would be commitment. So we've done rapport, vision, reality, roadblocks. Number 5 would be commitment. And this is where we need to really tie down if they're actually already sold, right? price aside, and kind of the conversation is like price aside on a scale from 1 to 10, how committed are you to getting this outcome? How committed are you to, doing something about this? And we really need to hear that they're a 9 or a 10, that we've done a good job. It's kind of a temperature check on have we done a good job on vision reality roadblocks, because they should be at a point where it's like, oh my gosh, you're so right. Like, I'm so stuck. I'm so frustrated. I need to do something about this, right? We didn't create that pain, but we did identify that there is pain there. And I had a sales coach that said, no pain, no sale. Right. So this is where we get to this commitment piece where it's kind of a temperature check on, hey, have we done a good job of getting them to feel some pain? Because our job, again, is to help people do the right decision. And that oftentimes means moving them out of their comfort zone. And to move people out of their comfort zone, we've got to help them recognize they're actually uncomfortable in their comfort zone. And we need to do something about it. So the commitment process is all about getting them to recognize, yes, 100%, I need to do something about this. My favorite question in the sales script, Coach Tam, your favorite question is, will that be Visa, MasterCard, or American Express? That's a great question too. One of my favorite questions is, at that point where there's like max pain, max commitment, max clarity, would you like some help? Right? Would you like some help with that? And they're like, yes. What do you do? What should I do? How does this work? And now you can go into the close. So that's the sixth piece, is the close. And we basically just now unpack our product, what they're going to get, how it works, and all the things, the deliverables, the price, so on, and then Visa, MasterCard, or American Express. So that's the process. You've got to have a really clear process. And if you've got something like the Cutco script or the KBA script for a strategy session, and you just bring conviction to it, like one or the other, you're going to close sales. But if you have both, if you have conviction and process, to me, that's like, hey, you are going to be an A player. Like, you're going to do well in sales, even if it's not something that comes really naturally to you.
Yeah, good stuff. That is excellent. Thank you for breaking down the process. Do we have a little bit more time?
Yeah. You share more. I got one more thing on the 5X sales that you're not on.
Oh, that's right. You made us a promise, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I just want to touch briefly on objections, because a lot of people get really choked up when a customer says, oh, I need to think about it, or I want to price shop, or I need to talk to my partner, I need to talk to my spouse, or I don't have the time, or wow, that's expensive. There's so much money. Can I just tell you that even when the client desperately wants what you have to offer and you've done a great job and they want to buy from you, it's almost like obligatory that they have to have an objection. Okay. So that really has nothing to do with you, your sales ability, or your product. And usually it has nothing to do with their so-called objection either. But it's sort of like we're not being good consumers unless we have some objection, even if it's a fallacy, even if it's not really true that they don't have the time or they don't have the money. And honestly, hardly anybody really needs to talk to their spouse. Like, they can spend money. It's not like they need to talk to their spouse to get their spouse's approval most of the time. If they want to do something, they can do it, and they can talk to their spouse about it afterwards, and their spouse will be fine. So usually objections are not even real. And even when they do have a legitimate objection, they usually don't come out with it. They'll give you some little smokescreen objection that's not even the real objection. So there's a way of bypassing that and really finding out what the real objection is. Because if there is a legitimate objection, you need to deal with that objection, not their smokescreen objection. So one way of dealing with that is to say, well, if I could get it for you at that price, or if I could get it in that color for you, would you want it then? And then they're going to either say yes or, well, there's this other thing, right? And then you get to their real objection. So that's called isolating, when you are able to isolate down to handle their real objection. But there's just a couple of them, honestly. And, it's kind of like I was talking about evangelism earlier. There's only really maybe a dozen objections to Christianity. And once you know how to deal with those dozen objections, like, there's no obstacle. And it's the same thing in sales. There's the I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I want to price shop it, my spouse, all of that kind of stuff. And if you will learn some answers and try using them on people and see how they respond to it, you'll kind of hit on a way to handle those objections. And I'll tell you, one of my favorites is the takeaway. So it's not like I'm pushing this on you. No, no, no. I will take it away from you just as easily as I offered it to you. So I will sometimes say, if I'm talking to a coaching client, a potential coaching client, and they start giving me objections, I'll just say, I'm not sure if you're ready for this. I don't know that you are committed enough to getting the outcome that you desire. And unfortunately, you might have to stay stuck. You might have to go around this mountain a few more times until you are really committed to getting the outcome you want. And until you get to that place, there's not really any program that can help you. So do you want to continue the conversation, or do you think we should just shut it down now? And most of the time they will backpedal and say, I really am interested in this and I do want to move forward. But that's something that you can put out there and just say, well, would you like to continue the conversation, or should we end the call now? Most of the time they'll say, no, let's talk about it some more, because they're sort of selling themselves at the same time. And you're kind of helping them when you take it away from them.
Yeah.
All
I
right,
love it.
Zack.
Yeah. And then right on top of that, Coach Tam, is like, you come back when you do that, you're able to really come on the same side of the table and be like, okay, let's figure out, hey, how can we make this work? Right. Like, I think it's such a great thing that, like, yeah, we do the little takeaway and like, hey, I don't know if you're ready for it. And they're like, no, I really am. And then it's like, okay, well, let me help you. We're not on opposite sides of the table battling it out in a negotiation process. This is like, hey, is this really the right thing for you? Do you really want to do this? Okay, again, let me see, like, hey, how can we help get you there? What's it going to take to allow you to get started, get in momentum, get the breakthrough that you really want. So I love that. All right, I'll wrap here quickly with a couple big important thoughts. So number one is just kind of, hey, where are we at right now in the industry? And, what's something that's, like, I think critically important for you to be doing as entrepreneurs when you put your marketing hat on, when you put your sales hat on, right? Because that's part of the job as an entrepreneur. You can't just deliver the service. You've actually also got to be able to market and sell it. So you got to wear both those hats. Talking to, the marketing hat in particular, here's I think a major key, and this isn't the 5X thing, but it's part of it, is you've got to collect phone numbers. Okay. When we're doing our lead magnets, when we're doing our webinars, we are at a stage, I believe, that you've just got to collect phone number every time. In the past, it was like name and email, right? That was opt-in. Really, it's name, email, phone number. And what we found is it actually doesn't make a difference. A while ago, years ago, it actually did make a difference, right? Like, when you ask for people's phone numbers, it's like people don't want to give you their phone number. They don't do the opt-in. We found in our hundreds of thousands of dollars in testing on advertising spend is that it actually is not making a difference. If it is, it's like a very negligible difference, like 5, 10, 15% difference in terms of the cost, in terms of like, hey, do people make a different decision because we're asking for their phone number? But what it does give us is a 5X opportunity on the back end, and I'll tell you how that works. So that's number one, just like marketing tip, like super tip, is collect phone numbers left and right. Like, everything you do, ebook, webinar, event, find out more, whatever, collect phone numbers. That's like super critically important. And then number two, when you do that, here is your 5X opportunity. Here's your 5X opportunity. The reality is that most people do not do what we want them to, right? Let's say that we've got an evergreen webinar, right? A webinar that people can sign up for, they get instant access, they watch the whole webinar, and they buy the thing at the end. Most people do not do that. Most people do not do what we want them to. What we want them to do is they opt in. They get instant access. They start watching it right away. They watch the whole thing. They get to the end and they're like, this sounds awesome, and they buy it, right? The reality is that happens 1 or 2% of the time. It goes exactly like we want it to, right? If we get 100 people, like 1 or 2 of them are just going to do exactly what we want them to. They watch it right away. They buy it right away. And like, we don't have to do anything. The opportunity that you have is to work your pipeline. So this is your 5X opportunity, is to work your pipeline and have another process, right? We've got a sales call process, but we also have to have kind of an outbound process, a follow-up process, a pre-call process. And what that looks like is reaching out to every lead manually. Now, can we do it automatically? Yeah. Should we do it automatically? Yeah. But what really moves the needle is doing it manually and sending a voice memo, sending a personal text, and literally picking up the phone and calling them. And the conversation is so easy. Again, like these conversations really are easy. And especially as you get comfortable with them and you get familiar with them and you got like all these like tools in your bag, like it's so easy and it is fun, right? This conversation is super easy. When somebody opts in for the ebook, when somebody opts in for the webinar, when somebody opts in for the, virtual event or whatever's happening, we call them. We say, hey, Tamara, thank you so much for ordering this thing. Have you gotten access to it yet? That's the first question. It's like, hey, did you get it? I just want to make sure that you got it. And half the time it's no. Right? Half the time it's like, oh, no, I don't remember getting it. I don't remember seeing it. So it's like, okay, hey, no problem. I'm going to send it to you right now. So again, what it is it's this business and ministry accelerator to help you take your impact, influence, and income to the next level. And, I saw you paid for it. You paid $5, $20, whatever, or they got it for free. What made you want to get it? So the first question is, did you get it? Have you accessed it? No. Okay, let me send it to you. We're now like doubling the people who are going to see it versus not see it. That's going to naturally double our sales. The next question is, why did you get it? What was your intention in getting it? And here's where we actually start the vision reality roadblocks conversation. Why did you get it? What was your intent? What made you want to get this thing? And it's because they want to do something, right? They want to reach more people. They want to restore their marriage. They want to, raise kids in a certain way, right? Like there's some intent that they had in getting it. So now we're kind of starting that conversation. And then number 3, we're going to kind of do one of a few things. Like now, number 3 is like we're getting to the sale. And that's either we're setting a sales call, we're going into a sales call automatically, or we're sending them back to the webinar or the product if it has the pitch in it, right? So if it's a webinar that has the offer, we might send them right back to the webinar. Like, hey, I would love to chat with you more about this. Let's schedule a call tomorrow to go deeper on, where you want to go and the roadmap to get there. Can you just, between now and our call tomorrow, can you just watch the masterclass? Can you watch the mini course? And, typically, yes. So what we did there in a very short conversation is take somebody who literally like didn't remember opting in for the thing, didn't know what it was, didn't access it, and would have been gone forever, to somebody that is now in a personal conversation with you, going to watch the thing, going to come into the sales call with like knowledge of the offer, with background on kind of where they're at and where they want to go. And we're going to be able to close deals. So here's the challenge to you, is to call every lead, is to text every lead, is to send a video, a voice memo, do some outbound to every lead, because that's where we're going to take like, okay, 1 or 2 people do exactly what we want them to, hey, we're closing 10 sales instead of 2 sales. And that's what we're finding, and what we're doing is that, really the power is in that outbound process, is in that manual relationship connection outreach that we do. And it's just so simple. And what we're doing is we're just recovering every lead, right? Because so often of the time they opt in, they get instant access, but then they don't do it. They lose it. They forget about it. 24 hours, it is completely gone and they are completely lost. But if within that first 24 hours, you're calling them, you're leaving a voicemail, you're sending them a text message like, hey, just want to make sure you got it. Here's the link, following up with, hey, what made you want to get it in the first place? And starting that conversation of vision reality roadblocks, and either moving them back into the webinar, moving them into a full sales call, that will 5X your sales. So I know that's a manual thing, and it's like, hey, it's working the process, but that will 5X your sales.
Yeah. So good. So good. Thank you for that, Zack. Love the process. I'll leave you with one final thought, is that when you're talking to clients, I think that it's good to sort of affirm them in the ways that are going to motivate them to take action. So what I find is that people tend to live up to your expectations. If you put expectations on them, it's not always a bad thing. It's helping them to go higher. So one of the things that I like to do when I talk to potential clients is when they tell me something like, maybe they survived some kind of terrible situation, or maybe they did something where they learned a new language, or they stretched themselves, that there was growth in their life, I will affirm them by saying something like, I love that about you. I can see that you're somebody who's really determined, that you're not going to be content to stay stuck. I can see that you're somebody who really wants to go to the next level, and you'll push through the pain to do it. I think that's awesome about you. And so when you affirm them and you're telling them this is the person that you really are, when you get to that point of decision, now there's a conversion experience one way or the other. They want to live up to your expectation of being an action taker. They like what you've seen in them and what you've affirmed about them. So I think that's a really nice thing to do, even if apart from sales. I think it's just nice to call out the best in people.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Well, great conversation. Love this topic. So thank you guys for recommending it to us. So go out and use it. Rewatch this, take notes, and then go out and use it. Go out and start talking to people, closing deals, get into the process. It's actually a really fun game if you'll jump in and learn and engage and win with it.
Absolutely. All right. We love you guys. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again on our next exciting episode. Bye now. Hi, this is Tamara Lowe, founder of Kingdom Builders Academy, here with a free gift for you, our loyal podcast listeners. We're giving away free copies of my newest book, Business Plus Ministry Equals Success, a superior model to profitably change your world. You can download your free copy right now at kbabook.com. That's kbabook.com. Thanks for tuning in to the Kingdom Builders Academy podcast today. Join us again for our next exciting episode.